Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nick. I am the CEO and co-founder of Stratos Labs. And at Stratos Labs, we believe in making every breath count. The reason I started the company was because I myself am an asthma patient, and I have experienced what it feels like to not be able to breathe, to not understand when I'm wheezing, when I'm coughing, and when I'm having shortness of breath. And I remember very vividly sitting there in front of my doctor, and he asked me, which was the clinical question, is how frequently have you been experiencing those three symptoms over the last 4 weeks on a scale of 1 to 10? It's a very subjective question for somebody who isn't really thinking about that day to day. So I wondered, why don't we monitor and measure those symptoms objectively in ways similar to continuous glucose monitoring and much like Bardy doing what they do in arrhythmia detection? Why can't we do something similar in the pulmonary space? And this is not just a problem that I've experienced as a patient. This is something that is a global issue in respiratory health. There are over 300 million patients suffering from asthma and COPD across the world. And here in the United States, we have extremely high rates of readmissions associated with COPD and asthma. And just honing in on COPD for the moment, we have a 33% 90-day readmission rate and about 22% nationally in the first 30 days. It's extremely expensive, and we just don't have great technologies to tackle this problem. Again, I'll talk about Bardy quickly, but how, again, similar to what they're able to do on the cardiac side, how do we understand what's happening with pulmonary patients outside of the hospital setting, outside of the ER visit? Right now, again, the way that most of these patients are monitored is they have an exacerbation event, they come to the ER, they get admitted, they get discharged, and while we would love to be able to identify what's happening, those wheezing and coughing events and how noisy they are, and when they leave the hospital, we just don't have a way of doing that. We can't staff respiratory therapists and nurses at the home. So what we created was a way to pick up those lung sounds autonomously using a wearable device and a smart connected platform that identifies wheezing, coughing, and other adventitious breathing sounds, as well as respiratory dynamics like rate and IE ratio. And of course, the goal for us is to be able to personalize care for each and every one of these pulmonary patients, to triage and intervene sooner, ultimately saving money and improving patients' lives. This is just a quick video of how it works to give you a little bit of a better understanding of the system.
Once the patient application site has been prepared, carefully lift the device and patient adhesive together off of the work surface and apply it to the patient such that its longest axis is oriented longitudinally to the patient's body. While gently pressing the wearable device to the patient, smooth the adhesive, ensuring that a tight seal is created along the interface of the wearable device and the patient's skin. Verify that the wearable device is in close contact with the patient's body. Starting a recording session. On the Stratos app, select the desired recording mode from the drop-down list of options.
So again, the system is, if you think about a wearable stethoscope on a Band-Aid, it's very similar to that. We've created a patented system, of course, around that wearable technology to make it lighter weight, flexible, unlike a stethoscope in and of itself. And then, of course, the continuous wear of that system is part of the filing, the US and international patent filings that we've created. And it's creating now a new category of monitoring for pulmonary patients, right? What we've done on vital signs, being able to get data remotely using a small wearable wireless patch, but getting an enhanced analytic, an enhanced data point around lung sounds in and of themselves. And this can be used, of course, in teleauscultation as a service via telehealth, as well as in remote patient monitoring. So it's an opportunity for us to really make and drive change in the space. And it's a space from IoT medical device sensor perspective that our team knows really well. My co-founder, Richard Powers, was the CIO of CardioMEMS and was with Endotronix as the CIO there as well before joining us at Stratos, and has brought in the CTO, our CTO, Jason Crow, who he worked with 12 years at CardioMEMS as well as the VP of engineering. And our chief medical officer is a veteran of the pharmaceutical space, has been both in large companies, SmithKline Beecham, as well as small startup companies developing clinical studies and trials and successfully commercializing and then exiting in this space. We've won awards from Hacks Health, which is a hardware accelerator run by SOSV, which is our lead investor in our prior round. We've been part of MedTech Innovator as well as Texas TMCX cohort of digital health companies. We're JLab's company as well. And so this is a space that we see a lot of opportunity today. And again, the question is, why hasn't this been done before? Why is this the right time to do it? Well, of course, we've seen a massive growth in telemedicine and interoperability across the healthcare ecosystem that is ripe for the opportunity for a technology like this. And our ability to collect this data, lung sound data, periodically and continuously over a network that can be easily accessed by a clinician is something that was not available 5, even 10 years ago. So we're seeing a massive, again, shift in telemedicine and of course in remote patient monitoring, the opportunity now to bill for the services associated with technology like ours. So setting up the patient with our device, monitoring the physiological parameters of the data for 20 minutes per patient per month is now an opportunity for revenue for many of these practices. In addition to, of course, our broader goal of reducing readmissions related to COPD and to asthma. So our beachhead is telepulmonary care that can be happening from a pulmonary clinic associated with a health system as well as the home health agencies associated with those health systems where they're trying to better manage these patients at the home in low-cost, efficient, and effective ways. We deploy a product as a service model with both the devices themselves as well as the software and the access to the software for each of our enterprise clients. And again, looking at the beachhead of telepulmonary rehab, about 1 million cases occur in the US every year. And of course, the chronic airway disease market, more broadly speaking, is a much larger opportunity in the long run for us. And more importantly, too, is our vision for value. Our goal is to try to reduce hospitalizations and ER visits for respiratory patients by 50% in the next 5 years. Of course, we know that's a big goal, and we know that that's a moonshot of ours, but that's what's driven us to where we are today, being able to build this from the ground up, from an idea 3 years ago to now a product that we've completed all of our 510(k) submission work and is at the point now where we are ready for commercialization and ready to raise capital to get there. And again, you may be asking, well, how do you know that this will work? How do you know that this will drive outcomes? We haven't done those big studies yet. We've only raised $2 million to get this to the point where the technology is sound and ready to be commercialized. But of course, we have done some studies already. We've done 3 clinical trials, and we have 2 IRBs that have been approved, and now we are starting to enroll this month. I did a study last year with 7 patients at the home where we had them wear these devices for 10 days. Collect data each and every one of those days, quantify the events, the frequency of which they were experiencing wheezing and coughing, much like a heart rate measurement was detected. We also had them explain to us how they were feeling, much like when I was asked as a patient too, how are you feeling today? And so in this instance, the patient was feeling fine for the 3 days after he started wearing the device. And by the way, he had just come out of the hospital with exacerbated asthma. And then all of a sudden on day 4, things started to get worse. We started to see a trend go in the opposite direction. Wheezing started to increase, and for 3 days, things got so bad that he ended up back in the ER. So there was an opportunity in a window, 72 hours prior to that ER visit, for us to have intervened. And those are the types of, again, this is anecdotal, but this is an opportunity for us to say, what if we can drive that intervention and, again, make a change to save patients' lives? And we've gotten some really amazing clinical partners who, again, we have studies that we've kicked off, we've completed, and we continue to expand upon, now testing the algorithm's strength to be able to change clinical pathways and to be able to drive outcomes. And so that's something that, again, is all part of our pipeline and our plan for the next 12 to 24 months. And it's something that's gotten, of course, interest from a strategic perspective as well. We won a Philips Grand Challenge last year in the pulmonary space. We're JLab's company, and we've also gotten some interest from Gore as well as a Gore Innovation Award winner. And so I won't go into too much detail around forecasts, of course, but really what I want to demonstrate here is that this is ready for commercialization now. We are raising capital to be able to get this into the hands of doctors and clinicians across the health system, as well as in the pharmaceutical space, which there's been a lot of interest in as well for data collection. And all of what we're doing now is to expand upon the claims of the device based on the data that we collect. And we've done, again, a lot of work here with less than $2.5 million of capital raised. So we're very efficient and effective with what we are able to raise. And we believe to be in a very strong position from an exit perspective because, again, this is an area that needs change on the pulmonary side. And we have seen some exit opportunities. Again, Propeller is a good example of a medication management platform that was able to get acquired by ResMed in the med tech space. Amazing team of advisors, including the CMO of the American Lung Association, who's an investor and a KOL for us, as well as Dr. Meyer at CHOP, who's a pediatric pulmonologist there. So we are raising a round of capital, and can talk a little bit more about that in the breakout session if you have any interest. So thanks again for your time. Appreciate it.